Hello, this is the 13.9 patch notes. I have no idea what is on in here. This is the first time I'm checking this. So, quickly, the nerfs to Jinx and Sion, buffs to Aatrox, Samumu, Swain, Trundle, and Volibear, adjusted Bel'Veth, Kayle, Nico, and Talia, and Blitzbane. So this seems like a small patch, but we will see how this affects the meta. So okay, so this is Nico's mid-scope update, so I'm not going to be talking about this in this video, so we will do this in a separate one. Um, Aatrox, passive damage increased, R movement speed increased. So passive bonus physical damage 4 to 10% to 4 to 12%, so slightly more power to his late game. And his ulti bonus movement speed 50 to 80% to 6 to 100. So these changes pretty much have no impact before level 6. At level 6, this extra 10% movement speed might be giving him some more reliable gap closing, but I do not think it will be the end of the world. And for his late game, this might make a difference in some cases, like giving him a bit more survivability most of the time, because you also get healed for the damage that this does. Um, on top, in combination with this, the extra movement speed now, then this means that he's a bit more sticky, I guess. Um, Even if he get like resets, etc., this means that he's now a lot stickier inside the team fight, uh, combined with this. So I'm not sure if this will make Aatrox be back into the pro play meta, but these are fine changes for the solo queue players out there. Amumu W damage increased early. So W Despair 12 to 18, I mean 12 to 28 to 20 at all ranks. So this is a massive buff. He basically gets a rank 3 damage at level 1. And also considering that I think this is the ability that he maxes last, this means that he basically the entire game gets to have rank 3 ability as rank 1. And percent health magic damage per second from 1 to 1.6% to 1 to 2%. Um, so at rank 1 it says the same. So basically it is flat out buffed early game. Later on, you're missing 8 damage from this. So let's say that the sweet spot at rank 3, right? This was the same as before, but now you have 0.2% AP ratio extra. Um, or is this um, or is this the base? Is this the base or is this the AP ratio? I think this is the AP ratio, right? Has to be. Um, Regardless, you might be missing at max rank, you might be missing 8 damage here, but you're getting 0.4%, which I think is the AP ratio. So as long as you build something like maybe a Demonic Embrace or you go with Conqueror, um, you're still going to be dealing more damage from this compared to this. So I think this is a good change. Honestly, for solo queue, I think Mbumu is very strong right now. Decent wave clear, good ganks. His ultimate is quite massive. Um, so I'm not even sure if he really needs the buffs, but in a world where things like uh, Xin Zhao, Wukong, Vi dominate the meta, having like a tankier jungler exist I think it's fine. Bel'Veth. Base stats, attack damage growth from 1.7 to 1.5, so a slight nerf here. Void Surge, monster damage modification 120% to 140%. So, um, Simis's like what's this? Like 4 AD at level 18, but deals more damage to monsters with Q. So they are making her clear the jungle slightly faster so that she can start stacking up her passive faster now. and they're trading off some damage because of that, I guess. Which I'm not sure how Bel'Veth works right now. It's a very unique champion, infinite scaling and all that. So any change that is being made to it has to be really careful to not like bring it over the line. For example, if this was like 120 to 160, for example, and she was clearing the jungle much more quickly now, this means that she can start, scaling much faster, and this could bring Bel'Veth to a very overpowered state. So you have to be really careful with these changes. Um, but I do not think a lot will change because of this. It's just that her scaling aspect will be more favored now over anything else. Jinx, attack damage growth decreased. Attack damage growth 3.5 to 3.15. So she loses 0.25 AD per level. So 1 AD per 4 levels. At level 18, that's roughly 4.5 AD. Um, is this going to be enough to move her out of the meta? Not really. I mean, in the early game, at level 5, she will lose 1 AD, which is not that big of a deal. Uh, Compare this to other nerfs like a plus 2 AD or minus 3 AD that some champions get. For example, in order for Jinx to feel a minus 2 AD nerf, it means that she has to hit level 9. Before that, you're barely ever going to feel this. So, is this that big of a change? Not really, in my opinion. Just a slight tone down because I think she's just overperforming over any other champion, any other AD carry at the moment. Maybe not Zeri, but I think Jinx is very strong right now, so a slight nerf is fine. I'm not sure if this is the direction you should go for. Maybe going for a flat minus 2 AD from level 1 is like the base AD, that should be fine and better than this one. Because honestly, at level 18, you might be having minus 4.5 AD, but that's barely like half a longsword, which doesn't really make that much of a difference. So I'm not sure if this is going to move Jinx out of the meta. It's just that she might not be as strong as she was before, but even then, like she might just lose like half a percentage of win rate, which is fine, I guess. Kale, E Starfire Blade, on kit AP ratio 25% AP to 20%, passive, Divine Ascent, wave damage. Okay, so with this, what I'm thinking is they are trying to move Kale outside of maxing E and going for like a max Q into max W and maxing E last, which honestly, I'm not, I KO enthusiast or anything, but I have played her a couple times, and I always thought that maybe maxing Q and then maxing W is the way to go, because Kale doesn't really come online until at least like level 11, and before that, what you really need is kind of like safe passage to scale up, right? So what better way to do that by having more reliable wave clear with maxing W, I mean maxing Q, and better survivability by maxing W, because maxing W is quite good. Like the sustain it grants you and the movement speed is quite nice to move in and out of like kite in and out of a fight on like the 1v1 in the top lane, for example. And with this now, I think this helps Kale go more into the max Q or max W playstyle and still have compensation because of this. So I think this is a good change so far. And I think her biggest change is her ultimate cast time 1.5 seconds to zero point 0.5 seconds. So that's already great. So no more, locking out of auto attacks, locking yourself out of auto attacks. Area of effect radius 525 to 675, 675, 775. So now the damage from her ultimate is like a bigger circle, which is always nice, I guess. Removed, Kale no longer lowers her range when casting ult on herself. All right. Invulnerability duration 2.53 to 2.5. So she gets the rank 2 duration, which is great. Time delay until sword falls 1.5 to 2.5. So this is the damage, I'm assuming, when the damage comes out, which makes sense for the damage to come out after, like exactly as the invulnerability ends. And the magic damage, it's the same. Base damage is the same at rank 1, loses 100 damage at rank 3, but also loses 10% AP at all ranks. So I think at the end of the day, you don't really care that much about this. Like this is the last thing you care about when you play Kale. Um, at the same time, you get this area of effect radius. So on targets that you are on top of, you might be getting slightly less damage because of this. Um, but at the same time, it's now possible for you to hit more champions because of this, of the extra area of effect radius. So I'm not really sure if this matters a lot, but what I like is this, because now you're half a second uh, more invulnerable at rank 1. At maximum rank, I think this might um, be important, like the half second, especially if she casts on like even a higher priority target. Um, but I think this is quite nice now. No longer locking yourself out of auto attacking for like 1.5 seconds and just half a second, which is massive. So I think these are all good changes for Kale overall. I think I still think it's a champion that most people will play if they are one tricking her. I'm not sure if this will bring more attention to her in the long run. I'm sure like people will pick her up in this patch to feel her out, but I think people will only keep on playing Kale if they are one tricking her. So I'm not sure if this will bring a massive increase in her play rate or her win rate. I mean, her win rate might go up even quite significantly by the one tricks, but that's about it. I do not think it will ever break or shape the meta. Um, Sion, passive health decay 2 to 19, 1 health per level to 2.3 to 24.4. So basically now when he dies, he loses health faster in his passive, which I think is fine. I think, um, especially in the early game, I think Sion is very, very survivable at the moment. Um, and like there are cases where you kill Sion and then he has enough time to kill the entire wave in the early game, especially so that you do not really gain any advantage apart from the 300 gold you get from the kill. So I think this might mean that he now does not have enough time to like kill an entire minion wave, thus making him pay for dying much more now, and also helps with like him not pushing a lot of the tower a lot, etc. So I think this is a good change because Sion can be quite a problem in some cases. Swain, Q damage increased, so the magic damage goes up by 5. I think this is per bolt, right? So it's like 5 base and 2% AP. And here we go with bonus damage per bolt. It's a plus 3 base and 2% AP, so the maximum damage is increased by 17 plus 10% AP. I think Swain is a very weird champion. I do not think that I think it's in a bad spot right now. It's quite easy to um, counter what he's trying to do, like during his ultimate, which is his big power. Just like kite him around, like knock him back with like Lee Sin ultimate, Tristana ultimate, something like that. Even Kisante ultimate him out of a fight. Um, What this does is it gives him slightly more reliability as a top or mid laner, to help him, push out waves just a bit better. Of course, it also deals more damage to champions. I don't think this will be that big of a deal. Um, I think like he suffers from different things at the moment. For example, I think the biggest thing that he suffers from is that he's a ranged champion, but really functions as a melee champion. So he cannot really make good use from like Conqueror, Grasp of the Undying, Demonic Embrace. I think if somehow they classify him as a melee champion, the same way they did Lilia and Rakan, I think that would be like a biggest buff that any of these things could provide for him. Um, so maybe Riot should be looking at that. Talia, our cast lockout condition adjusted. Cast lockout whenever Talia takes or deals damage, whenever Talia takes damage. Okay, so that's nice. So now she can cast her ultimate again, even if she deals damage. She can only not cast it if she takes damage, which is nice. It was kind of weird before. Like you had to, I think it was for 3 seconds. You had to deal no damage or take damage to cast your ultimate, which was quite weird. So I think this is a great change. Trundle base attack speed increased from 0.6 to 0.67. Base mana 281 to 340. Um, so for the jungle, this doesn't really matter that much because you're never really running out of mana anyway. This can be quite big. His attack speed ratio doesn't change, so this means that he doesn't get any more benefits from itemizing attack speed. But for his early game, especially like clearing the jungle, this can be quite big. This is almost like almost a dagger's worth of buff. So this is a big change for Trundle. Personally, I do not necessarily think that he's in a bad spot or that he needs the extra buffs, but um, he has been out of the meta for quite some time now, and with the meta being a lot of like Wukong, Vice, Juani, and all that, Trundle is always a good champion to have available as a counter pick to those. So giving him buffs is great to uh, maybe have him make a resurgence into the meta. Volibear, W damage and heal increased, so uh, some bonus health scaling on his physical damage on W, and the heal ratio based on missing health 7 to 13 to 8 to 16. Um, so just some tank Volibear buffs, slightly more damage on his W based on his bonus health, slightly more healing also. I think this is fine. I do not think this will make Volibear be viable again, but it gives people a nudge to kind of like try him out, see how he feels, and then maybe go in with some more buffs to make him relevant again. I like Volibear being in the meta. I like the mechanic with his ultimate disabling tower shots. I think it's a good um, niche mechanic to have in the game. And it will be interesting to see like things like Volibear. I think Trundle is also a fun champion with the pillars and all that, to have them back in the meta. So Blitzbane, ability power 75 to 85. Blitzbane has lost satisfaction over time. The item is still popular with its core user base, but we want users who purchase it to feel better about the purchase and just overall increase its viability as an AP item choice. So as a Victor enthusiast, I always enjoy these types of buffs. Blitzbane got buffed, Cosmic Drive got buffed, so I think this is great. Will it make Blitzbane like a must build now? Obviously not. It will be the same champions who built it before will keep building it again. Like no Oriana, no Syndra, none of these champions will build this item even with a buff now. It just makes it, again, as I said, like for a Victor, for example, once you purchase this item, it just feels slightly better, maybe even as a second item now. So I think this is a welcome change. Nothing else really. Expanded emote wheel. I love this because I always love using the emotes, and having only like 5 of them uh is not a lot. So having 9 of them now, especially with all the new emotes coming in every new patch, I think this is great. Um, some ARAM adjustments. Do people even care about this? Uh, Even me as a an ARAM enthusiast, buffs to Corki, Ezra, Carmen, Transillian, nerfs to Akali, Ornki, Yana Veigar. No severe buffs, which is quite disappointing. MSI behavioral system, in-game reporting. You can now create and update report during the course of the match. You can also update your report in the post-game screen if you have a change of heart or notice something new. Okay, mute updates. Mute. Okay, bug fixes, skin bug fixes. Nobody cares. Okay, so I would say that it's not a big patch. Obviously, this is not the MSI patch. That was the previous one. So Jinx nerfs, not the end of the world. Sion nerfs, I think, can be important in some cases. But I mean, if you do not die, then it doesn't matter. So just don't die. Um, Aatrox buffs, the not a very big deal. I think they're fine for solo queue, but overall not really that big of a difference. Amumu, it can help him catch up to some of the meta junglers, but I do not think he becomes meta with this type of change. Swain, again, he got buffed, but not a big deal in my opinion. And I think the way to fix Swain is to make him a melee champion instead of a range one. Trundle and Volibear, I think it's kind of the same buff. Not a big. I think it's a good change. Maybe they receive like a 0.7, 0.8, like 1% win rate increase, which can be fine. But for pro play meta, I'm not quite sure if they are ready to return even with the buffs. Um, Belveth uh, brings her more into the infinite scaling playstyle now than ever before, so I think that's fine. Kale, um, great changes, overall buffs. You can now even expect a new uh, skill maxing order, so maybe like a max Q first, max W first, have maxing E last. And Talia, like the kind of like a bug fix, if you can call it that. 10 extra AP on Lich Bane, always welcome. So overall, a small patch. I'm not expecting a lot of things here, like any changes in the meta. I think the next patches are going to be quite important. I've heard that there will be some ADC uh, mythic item revamp, same for like Prowler Claw and some extra items. So I'm really curious to see what they come up with in the next patches. It's going to be really important and exciting. So this patch is quite neutral, nothing big changes. So I guess we're going to wait and see what Riot comes up with in the next patches. So this is the patch rundown, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.